Therapy dudes, take away your stress, put you in a good mood. If you had them over, they would eat up all your food. It's time for therapy dudes.
Hello. Welcome everybody to Therapy Dudes. Once again, we have our special guest, Anna Frost, here to wrap up this month's topic on change, New Year's resolutions, overcoming addiction, how all this stuff can work if we're putting in consistent effort and energy in the right way to grow towards whatever goals we have for changing ourselves. So, in our final one, we're going to be looking again back at our own personal journey with this. And Anna, so that you know, Andre and I both had New Year's resolutions that were around eating much more mindfully and not indulging in some of the more sort of addictive, like sugar, salt, oily stuff. That's me. Andre's more of just sugar. And part of this has this like overarching goal of getting back in shape in a way that we can be sort of at our optimal basketball weight, right? So that we can play pickup basketball at the rec center and have it be healthy and not damaging to our ankles, knees, hips, everything.
Right.
So, as you might expect, Anna, we have been very typical in that, for like the first week, we were kind of tending to our New Year's resolutions very well. And then as time went on, despite our best efforts, it's gotten harder and harder to continue to have this in our consciousness
Motivation.
and affecting
Yeah.
the motivation's gone.
Uh,
So Andre needs some advice because if we're ever going to see him back on the court in his old form, he needs to stop going to Taco Bell.
I love Taco Bell.
I know that. What's the problem? Well, okay. What do you got for me, Anna?
I don't see a problem. I really don't. I mean, I think that you know what you want, right? But I think probably the problem has to do with the word optimal.
Oh,
Because I think optimal is unrealistic if you're human, if you're a creature on the
yeah, you
planet.
hear that, Dan? It's unrealistic. Thank you, Anna.
You're so welcome.
We just need a modicum of improvement from.
Hey,
Okay.
no, I think you're probably doing that. The fact that you're aware that every spoonful of sugar is you're just like eating inflammation. I mean, you know
Right.
this.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's also, I think it's also good for balance that, once a week you can let yourself eat whatever you want so that
Yeah,
you're not like depriving yourself. I don't think deprivation is healthy either.
right.
The bad,
Yeah. I
yeah.
I think, I just want to lose like maybe 10 pounds. So when I'm running, because I run a ton faster than Dan, but when I'm running, I don't end up being hurt as much as Dan is when he runs. So, I mean, I think it's hard because my window of tolerance around that discomfort, that physical discomfort, when I don't get that hit of what I need, that sugar hit, um, it really like I get a headache. I get all these, you know, these symptoms that come up that make me feel kind of weird. And I didn't know that could really happen with sugar because I've never really tried to cut it out before, like honestly. But I found fruit is a good alternative.
Yeah.
So I've been eating like a ton of fruit, but it's a lot, to satisfy that need that I got from just a little bit of sugar. So I don't
What's
know if
what
it's,
what do you
yeah.
what do you characterize as a little bit, Andre?
Like like I actually don't like a candy bar, like a chocolate bar or something like that, or
Just one?
yeah.
Just one will give you a headache the next day, or how
No,
does it
no.
go?
If I don't eat it like for days on end, if I don't have any sugar, like I'm cutting it, I was trying to cut it out completely.
Right?
So I wasn't getting it from anything. I was having my coffee without sugar. I was putting honey in there. So that was a good transition, but no yogurts that would have sugar in it. no chocolate that has sugar in it, no anything that like I've been craving. And it's just been really hard. Like I noticed if I skip it for a whole day, I start to get a headache.
Oh,
And
sure.
I'm like, because my body wants it, you know?
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
accustomed to getting fed. And so if you're not feeding it, they're going to be little angry cells in there going, hey, hey, we're not going to let you get away with this. We need it.
Yeah. So,
But I
uh,
mean,
yeah.
where are you with this now, this cycle
Oh, I
of,
ate like a whole bunch of chocolate last night before I went to bed.
and did you get a headache after that?
No, I slept like a baby.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, there's something to be said for eating a little something before bed. But I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, amounts are big deals.
Right. I know. I also stress eat, I noticed. Like I've been like monitoring what I'm taking in a lot more. A lot of things happen when I'm stressed or um even when I get emotional, you know, like just like have like feel kind of sad or maybe even lonely. And then I remember like that's, you know, the opposite of addiction is connection. That's what Gabor Mate said. And um, sometimes it's just like you work a lot, then you don't get to hang out with your friends or family as much as you'd like. And
But
like,
why do you criticize yourself for this? I'm going to expose myself here and say that, I lost my husband, and so that first year,
yeah,
every day, I mean, I was like out of my mind on some level, but
oh,
uh, I would take this is embarrassing. I would take myself to Circle K
mm-hmm,
and get some stupid piece of candy and eat
mm-hmm.
it every effing day,
Mm.
every day, because
What did it do for you?
it made me feel better. It made me stay on the planet in a way that gave me some energy or gave me some pleasure. I mean, it is, it does hook up the same wiring as heroin in your, they're right next to each other, right? So
Yeah,
it gives you a hit of okayness that if I didn't do that, and I started not doing that eventually, um, that I can't, that I couldn't get anywhere else, right? It
right.
was connective on some level physiologically.
Yeah,
And so I think that there's cause for allowing it as needed. If something comes up, if you're really depressed and there's no way out of the closet in that, hey, just have some. You don't have to
yeah,
eat the whole thing. And I have to tell you, I have eaten the whole thing when I'm really upset about something.
right,
And, and I'm not going to fault myself for it. This is what I needed to do because I didn't have any other way out.
right. Yeah, sometimes we're going through on like prolonged stressors, kind of like what you were going through, and like our goals don't change in those moments. We still want to achieve what we want to achieve, but I
But I
totally
mean,
relate.
yeah,
I
but I mean, it
just
has to be realistic. That has to be part of the equation, is not to be austere. I mean,
right.
if you go so austere, if you become a monk, I mean, as much as they do us a favor in the world, it's not a realistic way to live, especially in this culture. So
Yeah,
how are we going to get through? And when sugar is ubiquitous, it's everywhere, all
yeah.
the calling, right?
I know it's upsetting.
Yeah, but the fact that you can navigate at times counts.
That's true. You know what? I should give myself that. That's true. And I know you don't know much about the stressors that I've been going through in my life, but this past summer I went through a doozy. I literally think I ran into a sociopath, but it caused me all kinds of issues, and I could not regulate myself the way that I normally would.
Yeah.
Um, I couldn't take care of myself really at all, and I really relied on my support quite a bit. I mean, Dan was very helpful. I mean, this guy would leave me messages, voicemails, so I can listen to him. That's how kind he was,
Mm.
and that became like something I had to rely on, and it feels to me like sometimes we end up relying on things just to feel some sense of groundedness or comfort when everything seems to be falling apart. And I'm still kind of getting out of that. Like, I'm okay, nothing terrible happened, but sometimes things happen that are so unexpected and shake our world. Like, I'm sorry about your loss with your husband. Um, but I feel like we all end up finding our way back to ourselves.
That's the choice. I mean, what else is there to do, right? What are you
Well,
going to do?
some people choose otherwise, right? And that's why we have to find a way to implement strategies that work. And maybe I shouldn't be so hard on myself that I ate some chocolate last night. I do
No,
feel like I have a pudge today. I do I do have that. But I don't know, compassion
we
is
look,
is a
look,
part of it.
I think we just all so need still across the life narcissistic supply. We need to feel connected. We need to feel known and understood and cared about. And
Yeah.
if we don't get that, we're going to suffer and we're going to need to have a little sugar here and there. But
Yeah.
that's like you're saying, that's the roundness of the life. It's not one color. It's going to be all colors if
I
we're
call that just being human, needing connection and
absolutely.
love and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um but you're right. We all need Dan, you've been quiet. Is it because I haven't made enough fun of you or
No, you two are just, doing such an amazing process. And I feel like what we talked about in the last podcast around motivational interviewing,
yeah.
Anna has just, done a master class in joining with you and supporting the, ambivalence and the reasons why this is, um, been difficult and kind of giving you permission and space to be, you know, gentle with yourself and loving and that, um, I didn't want to get in the way of any of that. But it does, like, I wonder, it's probably too simplistic for the takeaway to be, okay, like you don't actually like this goal isn't right for you right now. Like, don't don't focus on it anymore because you need the self-care and the
Yeah.
the support that it's bringing. But it's I don't know. I'm wondering like where this leaves you, Andre, in terms of like, do you want to let go of the idea of like losing some weight or and doing that through like sugar reduction, or is like a kind of gentler approach and self-kindness going to be perhaps helpful and make it so that this journey can be kind of more long lasting and not so punitive?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to not feel that sense of failure, right? Like, oh, I couldn't do it, so I'm gonna give up. Like there's a part of me that feels that way. Another part of me is like, dude, we're fine. Like, you're getting in, really, you've been working out, you've been getting into shape. You're not, you're not like gonna ruin your life if you don't commit to this goal right now. But I also notice, at least within me, there are parts of my life that feel quite out of control, right? Like, there are parts of my personal life where I'd like to feel more grounded, and it's just the way that it works for people. Like, we don't have control over, how well our family members are doing or job opportunities or X, Y, and Z out there that's outside of us. But yeah, I think I'm at a special period in my life where I've felt a lot of, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about my daughter. I'm worried about, making a lot of things happen or protecting people or, I don't even know what it is really. I couldn't articulate exactly what it is, but it hurts my heart. And when I don't have that sense of, control around certain things I really value, um, and I worry about people. I worry about things. I worry about, if things like if people are going to be okay or I'm going to be okay and I think that that's relatable and that's what comes out of me thinking about giving up on a goal like this because I don't feel really in control over a lot in my personal life right now, even though everything's fine objectively. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense, Andre. But
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be said for all those things, all those feelings, all those awful feelings where you don't feel in control, which is they are all legitimate.
Yeah. And I feel like this is something a lot of people, especially teens and college students and like young adults in general, like feel. And sometimes adults are hit with things they never thought they would experience. And they feel as well, like loss or whatever. So
So
just, yeah,
I'm just I just want to say that there's room for it all. And
right.
there's room for, I mean, almost want to say dissociation or distraction from the problems. I mean, whether it's a pint of ice cream or it's a gaming thing to do for your own self to take yourself away from
Yeah.
fray, the continual fray of like looking at all of the suffering that is surrounding you, whether it's within your family or your
Yeah.
work life. I mean,
When does it become something that like when is the cutoff point where is this something that I like have to really dive into or is this something I need to distract myself from? Does that make sense? Like when is it a point of like actually like we can't keep doing this distracting. We have to like face it in some way or I'm just throwing that out to both of you. I don't know. Like I have ideas when I work with clients, but just around this in general, like Anna,
don't you think that don't you think like this is enough going down this rabbit hole? I'm gonna turn left here and play some basketball.
oh Anna, you don't know how long I've held on to things that aren't good for me. Um, yeah, I mean, yes, I agree. I think there's a point where and I think there's a point where people get stuck. And I think when people get stuck, that's when they go to therapy, right?
Right.
Um,
That's
and
legitimate.
yeah. And here's a thought I had is just in terms of what you went through, Anna, when did you know like when were you able to stop coping in the way that you were? If you've stopped. I don't even know if you have.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think it took probably a year and a half. Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
How did you know? Like what
it's
changed?
almost like coming to, like I was not available to myself.
Right.
I mean, I was half of myself. And then I didn't know. I didn't
Yeah.
know how to proceed exactly alone. I was half cut in half, kind of.
Yeah.
You have to grow new receptors. You have to do this thing and
Right.
allow for it, which means you get swept up in grieving and in the realm of no man's land. And that's
Right.
legitimate. That's going to happen to every single person if they're aware and caring and loving people, because they're going
Yes.
to feel it. You're going to
Yeah.
feel it. And so,
I think it's a go through process instead of an avoid process, right?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I mean, all of the things that you're trying are legitimate. Try this, try that,
Yeah.
and try not to get stuck in any
Right.
of it too long.
And I think it comes down to radical acceptance at some point. Like when you've tried so much to deny or to push back against the heaviness of life circumstances, right? Of whatever circumstance you find yourself in that just hurts so damn bad.
Yeah,
I
just
think
can't
it,
crawl under the bed with a Kleenex box and stay there. I mean, look, that's what animals do. They leave, they go out, they want to be on the dirt, and
yeah.
they just feel the earth and see if they can
And
recover.
they shake. That's actually how they process trauma. They shake. Did you know that?
I've seen it. I haven't
Yeah.
really said those words.
Yeah. If only we were that simple. This freaking brain, super complicated.
Well,
Yeah.
And I really appreciate your words. I feel like you've given our listeners a gift.
Yes,
This was
truly.
really sweet. It was nice to see the process that you and Andre were going through there. And I think it really, it meant a lot to me. I'm sure it meant a lot to Andre. So thank you
It
so
did.
much for
Yeah.
being.
Privileged to be here. And anytime you want me to be a dudette, you just let me know.
Oh,
Thank
we
you. We
will. We
will we
will
will
bring you
have you
back.
back. We'll take you up on that. Anna Frost, check her out on boulderpsychologicalservices.com. They are our sponsor. Check out that website for all your therapeutic needs. Have a great week, folks. Hope this was helpful.
Yeah.
Therapy dudes, take away your stress, put you in a good mood. If you had them over, they would eat up all your food. It's time for